To you by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville. I'm your host, Grayson Bauman. Joining us, Jim Baker, Chief Deputy for the Christian County Sheriff's Office. Jim, always good to see you. How are you this morning?
Good morning, Grayson. Doing good, thanks.
Glad to hear it. And, as we do often, we like to start with the month of activity for that last month. And again, sounds like things, by the look of things, are doing well. From your end of things, how did the last month go?
Yeah, I think some things were stayed about consistent with what normal activity is, and some things were down. The ones that were down were a positive thing. Just real quick, so we, in comparison, we had 32 generated police reports last, which would have been in July, and in August that I'm reporting on now, we had 33. So that stayed about the same. We had a matching 3 criminal arrests for things like domestic and battery. Had 5 major traffic arrests. A lot of those are driving suspended and revokes. We had 4 warrant arrests and 1 DUI compared to the month of July. We had 4. So that's a positive thing there, that the DUI arrest, we didn't have as many of those. We had 63 attempted paper services and 80. It was a really high successful month for civil paper services. The deputies were busy serving 82 civil process papers. They had 34 location business checks after hours, things like that. And traffic crashes, 21 traffic crashes and 2 narcotic arrests. Additionally, we posted 1 road closure on the app, and so pretty consistent, and had a busy August, especially with all the picnics and events going on.
Picnics and some work going on at the jail. New deputy, and Caleb Woods, I believe was his name.
Yes, so he talked about that last time. Caleb Woods is in his field training and settling in, so it's going really well for him.
Okay, and same with jail renovations. Even from the last month, things are still moving and working well.
Yes, it's a continuation of having meetings every week and meeting with the county board and contractors and doing that's coming along. Anybody that's been in there, the entire ceiling's out right now. They're running fire suppression throughout the entire building, but everything seems to be going on track and on schedule.
Nice. Well, that is a good thing for you. And also, with Caleb getting near, I would assume, being able to maybe think getting out on his own and things like that. I know that time is a little while. And
yeah, it's all based on how they're performing and gaining. Some people pick it up really quick. Other departments run them for 6 months. We usually get them if they've got it figured out and feels comfortable, and we have his supervisor or the shift sergeant basically give us a review, typically about 2 months. So he's probably looking somewhere. But Caleb was one of those that when he was home from the academy, he would come out, ride in the car, get the experience on his own. Just excited to do it. So he's going to progress really quick, probably somewhere about October.
Okay. We'll be on the lookout for an update from you there. But I know, you guys have been down a person or two, and for you guys to see that, all right, everything activity wise has stayed pretty even keel. That's a plus. On this end as well.
Yeah. Sometimes it gets tough managing, shortages. Everybody likes to take their summer vacations. We was down 2 deputies at the time, plus you throw in all the extra activities and then keep up with the monthly activity. So it's quite a strain sometimes, but we got through it.
And people like their vacations, but people also like their events and festivals and things going on. So plenty for you guys to get up to there. Mm-hmm. In terms of what we're seeing right now on the roads, we're seeing a lot more farm. We're seeing a lot more implements. We're seeing more of everything farm. So staying alert this harvest season, as there is so much agriculture in Christian County, what kind of message do you have for the folks out there?
Well, the Sheriff's Association done a big press release. We put that out on our app and on our Facebook. But just to talk about that, we want to remember that harvest is in full swing, and the only way they can get that harvest out is, we live in an agricultural county, and we've got to remember that we share those roads. We want to give them a wide space, and it's one of those things it's important to a rural community with agriculture for us to be cognizant of the idea that those implements are going to be out there on the roadway. for the motorist, you want to remember to slow down when you see it ahead of time. That vehicle, you're going to be rolling along at a pretty good speed. That vehicle obviously is not. And this is something that I like to remind people, you need to have that conversation with these new drivers. You know, when you get your son or daughter just getting out on the roadway, it's good to get out there and explain that to them, because if they've been driving for the past 6 months, they haven't encountered that, you know, and you got to remind them that they're traveling 15, 20 mile an hour, and you're going to come up on that pretty quick. Additionally, so you need to keep that distance back far enough that you can see when it's time to get around them. But also, as we, you know, allow them to travel to their routes for their next harvesting, you want to be mindful of the fact that there's a lot of times they've got a lot of flashing lights on, and it can be easy to miss, but be mindful of the fact you've got to really pay attention to, does that vehicle or that operator in that large combine or tractor see you in the rear view? So, and if they do, keep in mind, they may be taking a left-hand turn into a field entrance. So if you're going to pass, you want to pass with extreme caution. You know, they take wide turns, and sometimes they'll swing to the right when they're actually swinging to the right to make a left-hand turn. So that's just something to, you know, maybe sit down with your new young drivers and explain that to them. Let them, you know, get a full sense of what that means to come up on these implements, you know, and we got to be patient. You know, it's where everybody's living a life always in a hurry, but it's something that we've got to be mindful of. So, so then to talk, you know, for those listening, you know, we've got a lot of times farmers is generational. You've got grandpas, dads, and now you may have that new youngster out there farming, and it's just a good thing to just throw it out there for them if they're listening, to remind the new workers on the farm and family members that, you know, it's good to discuss things like maintenance of the equipment, make sure the lights and reflective markings are on there, that the lights are working. Be mindful of hazard electrical wires in the area, or field entrances, or in or around the farm. You know, and these farmers, they're out there working hard, putting a lot of hours in. It's it's a lot of tedious, repetitive work right in that field. I personally, you know, as a kid, I worked on a farm and drove a tractor, and it's back and forth, back and forth. So you just, for anybody listening there, don't forget your health is important. Get that rest, stay hydrated, you know, make sure you're having lunch, stuff like that. Obviously, you know, every year it's unfortunate we have grain entrapment. There are safety courses they can take, and talk to the fire department and the rescue squads about that. And I guess for safety, lastly, you know, if you've got your grandson out there mowing roadsides, don't forget the rollover. Make sure that they've got that rollover bar up. And one of the things that often is overlooked is we responded to one not too long ago. Aside from the rollover, make sure you're wearing that seat belt. The rollover bar only protects them if it rolls over and they're strapped in. You know, otherwise they could get hurt. So we want to make sure that we take care of that.
I appreciate you mentioning the new drivers because, as you mentioned, that swing right to turn left, or just coming up super quickly and not realizing that, yeah, that person's going a lot slower than you might think. We think about the objects in the rear view coming up, you know, maybe that distance is a little different, but we don't maybe think about it with our, you know, peripherals here, I guess, or our eyeballs looking in front of us. And so that is a big thing to consider and think about there.
Yeah, you know, and when we talk about that, everybody hears every year, hey, don't forget the tractors are on the road. And you see it and you know it. But, you know, it's important to discuss why, you know, safety accounts not only on the farm for the farmers working, but us out on the road. You know, Illinois had some of the statistics. The most recent one was in 23. They had Illinois experienced 145 workplace fatalities when it comes to agriculture. So that's, you know, those things. It's unfortunate. It can be a hazardous occupation, and we just need to, as people in the public, need to do our part, not only for the safety of those on the roadways, but be mindful of the safety factors involved when it comes to agriculture and it being out there.
Patience.
Yes.
Patience.
You just got to, I can't stress that enough, that patience is the most important. If we slow down, give them the room they need, they're going to be doing their job. And I look at it that, the best way to put it is, if that was you and you're trying to do your job, there's no sense getting aggravated and being impatient. And if you notice that the farmers a lot of times will be cognizant of that too. They'll slow down, pay attention that the traffic's piling up, and you'll see them pull over and stop and let everybody go by. That's working together. It can be done.
I typically have a good time with that. Growing up in the country, and then now, even driving in the country to and from places, generally they're looking out for you more, maybe so, than most people are on the road. And so that is a nice piece there. When it comes to the rollovers, you mentioned that safety bar, that rollover bar, but not being strapped in. I didn't realize that there was some of that going on with these tractors and implements.
Yeah. And, and nowadays you see these mowers and they're almost the size of a small car, the 0-turn mowers, you can get one that's, 60, 72 inches wide, and they weigh there's a lot of weight there. And a lot of times the rollover bar gets flipped down to either, get it out of the shed, or for whatever reason, traveling, it's got pins, it releases and it goes down. But when they flip that up, that's only so good to keep it from flattening the machine. And obviously if you're strapped in and it rolls over and you've got your seatbelt on, that's what's going to protect you. It's important because we did have, fortunately there were some pretty serious injuries out of it, but there was an individual, and he said, mowing on there and turning around on an incline, it rolled over and didn't have the seatbelt on, and sustained some pretty serious leg injuries, where had he been, belted in, it would have helped him. It's, the theory nowadays is, you used to hear, oh, well, if you didn't have that seatbelt on, if the car gets flattened, the numbers are there. It shows. Doesn't matter if it's a seatbelt on a mower, a seatbelt in a tractor, or a car or truck, they save lives.
Learn from others. Yes. And I'm sure that for him, that's a very thankful moment also at the same time for being alive.
Yeah.
But learn from others and don't repeat those same mistakes, but patience and stay back a little bit,
Give them the room. They're just trying to do their job.
It would be nice. So that is a look at just some farm safety as we make our way further into harvest season during National Farm Safety Week as well. We're going to come back and tell you about another safety week, because there are a lot of them apparently right now here in mid-September. We'll come right back with Chief Deputy Jim Baker for the Christian County Sheriff's Office. And when we return, we'll talk those and more on WTIM, your information station.
Your information station, WTIM.
That's 800-2730-TALK. All of us are here to help.
WTIM listeners from Witt to Shelbyville and Awanaco to Ramsey can now hear your information station even clearer at a new place on the FM dial. WTIM now has an additional dial position at 107.9, transmitting at some 280 feet from a tower on the south edge of Pana. Hear the latest local news and agriculture information, swap shop, and more in southern Christian, northern Fayette, and eastern Montgomery counties from WTIM. Even better now at 107.9 FM. Set a button on your radio for WTIM in the Pana area now at 107.9 FM.
The WTIM Swap Shop has gone virtual. Now you can list your items to buy, sell, trade, or give away absolutely free by posting them online. Just click on the Swap Shop icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com. Then click Create Account to create your free account. Complete the fields and hit Submit. Once your items are approved by station staff, they'll automatically show up on the Swap Shop page on TaylorvilleDailyNews.com. Yes, the WTIM Swap Shop is now online and still free. Check it out today.
I'm Senior Account Manager Teresa Nelson with Regional Radio, here to share some just released news. Edison Research reveals that 35% of daily audio time is spent with AM/FM radio, both in car and at home. At home, 22% of radio listening is streamed, and at work, 16%. Smart speakers have become a key player with AM/FM streaming, leading ad-supported listening in 2024. Radio continues to deliver local content every day. We help local businesses boost their bottom line. Let us do the same for you.
October 15th is the deadline for kindergarten, 6th, 11th, or 12th grade students to have the required immunizations. The Christian County Health Department provides these free or at low cost. Find out more by clicking their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Here's Dr. Pavi Gill from Springfield Clinic, Taylorville.
Lifestyle medicine is about motivating you to improve your quality of life by changing habits and behaviors.
Find out more by clicking Dr. Gill's icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
WTIM.
And we're back with the WTIM Morning Show here on your information station, brought to you by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville. I'm Grayson Bauman. Joining us in studio today, Jim Baker, Chief Deputy for the Christian County Sheriff's Office. We'd like to start a conversation now about Child Passenger Safety Week. And Jim, you've got some dates and some things that are going on around the area when it comes to that. But what can you tell us about Child Passenger Safety Week?
So basically, when I try and think of things that we could get out there to the public, it's easy to remember that if you've got your child in restraints, that those parents are already doing that, right? But this is a good time to remember that September 21st through the 27th is Child Passenger Safety Week. And you can go to NHTSA's website, that's NHTSA's Car Seat Finder. And you can schedule something. Say you've got your brother, sister, grandpa, parents, things that are going to be transporting the kids in your absence. You need to make sure that they've been through one of those classes. It's a good practice to have them go through it, see how they put that child booster or child restraint in. I spoke to, and most police departments have it. And as well as like today, I talked to the chief airman about the fire department here in Taylorville. That's probably the most convenient for people listening that can call in, make sure a tech's going to be on, and they'll give you a time and date. You pop in, and they'll give you these time frames. On that day, you pop in, they'll walk you through how to properly install that, because there's a lot more into it than just putting it in, strap it in. There's a technique of putting your knee in it, strapping it down to where it doesn't move, and you want to protect those kids. And not only the parents doing it, but we want to remember sometimes, hey, can you pick up Johnny at the school? Make sure that their aunt or uncle has been properly instructed on how to do that, because it's important.
I was going to say, I think that's the best piece to it, because I think a lot of parents might go, oh, yeah, whatever,
Yep.
But again, grandpa, grandma, aunt, uncle, friend, family, whatever the case might be, comes and grabs the kid, then make sure about those things. So either use the NHTSA's car seat finder, make sure that child is in the right seat, or also maybe contact the Taylorville Fire Department and figure it out for sure.
Yeah, and I'm sure Taylor Police may have someone. We're in the transition period of getting someone in our department certified to do that. It's actually a 3-day course, if you can imagine. 3 days to learn how to properly instruct and teach child restraint. So that's pretty in-depth.
Tells you that there's something to it. Well, Jim, we've got exactly a minute right now, and we'll have a little bit less, but there's something else you want to toss out there to the community.
If you see something, call. Here lately, we've had a rash of burglaries down in Pana, storage units. They're hitting establishments that's got gaming machines. If you see somebody at the back of a building late at night, call it in. We'd like to respond to that. And if you've got anything else pertaining to crimes, we've got Crime Stoppers available. The sheriff's office uses the app. You can put in an anonymous tip if you choose to. And of course, if it's going on, we'd ask that you call the 824-4961 number. But we could always use your help to help stop some of these crimes. If you see it, call it.
If you see it, call it. Jim, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
You got it. Chief Deputy Jim Baker of the Christian County Sheriff's Office here on WTIM, your information station. We'll be back with more in just one moment.
WTRN News, I'm Rich